Hello, yellers. Welcome back to Why Am I Yelling? Musings from a middle-aged menopausal mom who has far too many feelings and the needs to express them. I'm Krista, and today's a big one, you guys. I have a lot to say and a lot to celebrate, and I honestly don't know where to start, so let's just take a breath. Yellers, we have been doing this podcast for 1 year. 1 year, you guys. 12 and a half months of me talking into this microphone in my home office with my feminist rage era plate that my dear friend got me. Sometimes in my pajamas, not today, however. Sometimes with a little hot flash, right? But 1 full year of showing up and saying the things that have been on my heart and on your heart. And you guys showed up too. So thank you for that, right? You listened, you shared, you have sent me messages, you have commented on my videos and uh, on my Instagram and all the places. You've sent me DMs, inspirational and answering questions and engaging with these videos and this audio that you're listening to. Sometimes you told me that you hit a chord, that I hit a chord, and that what I was saying was really, touching or needed to be shared. And so I really appreciate that we have kind of grown this together. And I will say that every week I get an update on um, my podcast stats, and it is steadily climbing. And it's just heartwarming. And I just want to say thank you. It really means everything because that means I'm going to keep going because I love to do this. It's really fun for me. And we can keep doing this together. Um, but also, I need a break. So we're going to take a little summer break. Um, and I'm not going to record a podcast, but I am going to be doing other things on the side in relation to it. But I do need to, put my feet in the sand at the lake and, take some time for me and my family and think about what we want to do in the next season of this podcast. I want to make it matter. As always, I want to make sure that we're talking about real stuff, um, things that we are, passionate about, and things that we have learned as humans and, throughout our lives and as a middle-aged menopausal mom. I just think it's really important for me and for all of us to kind of take a step back and take a break. And this is the best time to do it for me because it's summer and the kids are out of school and they're home and I get to spend time with them. And we live in a really spectacular place that I'd love to be able to take advantage of. So we're putting the podcast on the back burner, but it doesn't mean we're going away entirely. So we're launching some other things. I started a Substack. So I'm going to be promoting that throughout the rest of the summer, but kind of quietly. I mean, this is kind of loudly, but follow me over there on Substack at Why Am I Yelling Pod if you're on the stack. Because that's going to be a super fun thing for me to do. I'm going to start summarizing the podcast episodes that we have so far. So there's 35 of them. So there's going to be a lot of content coming out, but I'm also going to be doing other things on there too. It's not just going to be only podcast related. So it'll be Why Am I Yelling related. So that is my announcement for today. This is our season finale. Happy summer. Um, and I really feel like the topic that we're talking about today is so very relevant for what is happening in our world, right? And I think it goes hand in hand with what we do on this podcast. So today's episode is called Love is the Antidote. And I mean every single word of that title, right? You guys know that I am a lover, not a fighter, that I tell random people on the street that I love them if they do something kind or if I see them doing something kind. Love is something that I give freely. And we're going to talk about what that means today. And we're going to talk about why it's important to what is happening in this country at this very moment. And I know that there are people out there who tune into podcasts to escape that conversation because I do too. And I completely understand that. But I'm a mom, I'm a middle aged woman who You guys all know this too. My husband works for the news, so I literally live with it in my home. And so I feel it to my core, and I will never, ever be able to pretend that it doesn't exist and that it's not real and that I could just go about my business and not pay attention to what is happening out there to humanity, because it's really important. We are living through something profound right now. The Trump administration, and I don't like to say that name, but I'm going to say this plainly because we are grown humans and we can and should name things. This administration has spent the better part of the last 18 months running what I can only describe as a machine designed to produce fear, division, and cruelty against immigrants, against the LGBTQIA plus community, against women's bodies, against the poor, against anyone who doesn't fit in a very narrow, very loud idea of who belongs here. I watch it and I feel rage. I feel grief. I feel scared for the kids in the communities whose parents are afraid to leave the house. I feel heartbroken for the families who are being separated, their rights being stripped, them being murdered in the streets, the people being told that their lives are somehow less than yours and mine. Hate is loud right now. It has a microphone and a podium and a press secretary. And that is terrifying, my friends, because hate is contagious. When it is normalized, when it's coming from the highest office in the land, it gives permission, right? Look at what's happening around us. It creates a permission structure for cruelty that seeps into neighborhoods and schools and comment sections, and honestly, into our own hearts if we're not paying attention. I have actually noticed it sometimes in myself, the cynicism kind of creeping in, right? The hardening, the impulse to want to close it off, to disengage, to just protect my little bubble and stop caring about what is happening outside of it. And I want to say this clearly because it's a thing. I understand that impulse. It is a completely human response to sustained trauma and overwhelm. But I don't think closing off is the answer. But I do know it's what they're counting on. The design of the chaos is in part to exhaust us into apathy, to overwhelm us until we give up, until we lay down and say, okay, this is how it's going to have to be. And the most radical thing we can do, the most defiant, countercultural, genuinely threatening thing we can do to a system built on division is to refuse to stop loving. And now that might sound soft, but it's not. Choosing to love right now is one of the hardest and most important things any of us can do. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I believe that and I know that. But first, I want to talk about a quote that I heard on a YouTube show that I watched. So I'm a big fan of a show called Friends Keep Secrets, and that's hosted by Benny Blanco and David Bird and Kristen Badalucco. And I tune in and tune out, and I sometimes watch it before I go to bed because it's fun and it's funny and it's real and it's raw, and I think they're all you know just fun to watch. So I was watching it the other night, and Hunter Biden was a guest, and I know that name carries a lot of noise for people, and we're not here today to talk about or debate about Hunter Biden's past or his politics or his father's administration or any of that. I want to talk about something that he said because it really did touch me. And he said the best way to protest is to love your family, love your friends, and love each other. And that is something that I have lived by for a very, very long time. And I sit with this every single day. How can I make an impact based in love? Right? My first reaction to that, because it was when I watched it, it was, on a very hectic news day, was when some of the cynicism was like seeping in. And it was like, oh my God, how much more of this can we sustain as individuals and as a human community? I have asked myself, is it enough? Is love enough? Is love enough when people are losing rights, when families are being torn apart, when the cruelty is structural and systemic? And the more I think about it, I truly believe, and if you know me in real life, you know this, it depends on what we mean by love. If love means just a feeling, the warm and cozy sentiment, I love you, love, then no. Feelings alone do not dismantle policy. But I don't think that's what he meant. And that's not what love actually is. And that's not how I represent it either, right? Love is a practice. Active love, daily love, love that shows up and makes choices. That is genuinely radical. And here's why. The system of division that we are living under runs on a very specific fuel. The belief that there isn't enough. Not enough safety, not enough resources, not enough money, not enough belonging. And therefore, you need to protect yourself from them. Whoever them, I don't even know who them is, right? It's an old, ugly trick. And it works because scarcity and fear are real human experiences. Not being able to pay a bill, not being able to, uh, you know, put gas in your car. That's all stuff right now. Love disrupts that. Active practiced love, the kind that looks someone in the eye and says, you matter. The kind of love that builds community instead of walls. The kind that reaches across differences instead of calcifying in sameness. The love that is a direct challenge to the entire framework. It says there is enough. You are enough. You belong here too. And there's a specific piece that really lands for me as a mom. The values we live inside our homes ripple out. The way we talk about other people at the dinner table, the way we respond when our kids ask about the news, and that happens in my house all the time. The way we treat the cashier, the neighbor, the person who looks different from us. Those are not small things. Those are the building blocks of culture. And right now, we need to be building a different culture. One love letter, one dinner table conversation, one act of genuine kindness at a time. Love is not a retreat from the fight. Love is the fight. And that is where I have landed. Love is the fight. And if you're a mom, if you are in the business or a parent, if you are in the business of shaping little humans, you are already on those front lines, whether you feel like it or not. The question is, what are you building? Okay, so here's what I want to be clear about. That's crazy here. Here's what I want to be clear about before we get into this. I'm going to share some tools, but they're not about bypassing pain or pretending the world is fine or spiritual bypassing where we just think positive thoughts and manifest, hope and pray that fascism goes away. This is not what we're doing here. These are practices. In true Why Am I Yelling form, we are sharing practices and tools and education that we can take away to put forward into the world to create more love. These are practices for keeping your heart open when everything around us is trying to close it. They are discipline, they are not denial, and some of them are so simple, kind of embarrassingly so. But that's on purpose. Because the most sustainable revolution is the one you can actually maintain on a Tuesday When you're exhausted and you're hot flashing and it's raining outside and you got to walk the dog and all the news is terrible, like all of it. So here are a few tools that we are going to take away from this season ending episode. First one, the intentional dinner table. We do this, not all these steps that I'm going to talk about here, but we have intentional dinner table pretty much all the time when we sit together as a family. No phones. Um, but here's a suggestion. Once a week, make dinner a phone-free, news-free zone dedicated to connection. Now, we're not great at that because my husband again works for the news, and so it's often a topic of conversation what's happening in the news and like what they're working on for the show that night and all that stuff. So, I would like for us to try this as a family as well. Instead of being on your phones, which we are not, or talking about the news, ask a question that goes deeper than logistics. Like, what made you laugh today? Or what's something you're worried about? Or who was kind to you this week? To the people that are sitting at this dinner table. That builds the muscle of seeing each other, like really seeing each other, right? And it models for your kids that people matter more than screens. The dinner table is where values are transmitted, right? It's where kids learn whether other people's pain is something we notice or something we scroll past. You don't need a fancy meal, you need presence. Sandwiches and eye contact count, right? We have done this on some level in our family for the entire existence of our family. And we've had some really great conversations at the dinner table, right? The space is there. We're not staring at our screens. We are engaged and we are active and we're having conversation. And most of the time, it's 30 minutes. Like, don't kid yourself. You're not getting a 2-hour dinner, right? It's 30 minutes, but it's 30 minutes of information that we have shared together that we wouldn't have shared otherwise. Okay, tool number 2, the love letter practice or love text practice, right? I think this is such a great idea, right? Because a lot of times we get so caught up in the busyness of our own lives that we lose touch with people that we don't see on a regular basis. So, this suggestion is to write one love letter per month. Not romantic necessarily, unless you want to send a romantic love letter to your partner or your whoever. Write to your kid, to a friend, to a parent, your parents, a neighbor. Handwrite it if you can. Write it. There is something, you know, I mean, who doesn't love to get snail mail because we don't get it anymore, right? When you get a handwritten note or a card or something that's in the mail that really just it sends a warm and fuzzy through your body. You don't have to be eloquent. You can actually do it in a text. I got a text from a friend of mine who I haven't talked to in years, a few months ago, just saying, I was cleaning out a drawer. I came across a card from you, and I just wanted to text and say hi. Sent me pictures and updates of her kids and her family. And we've been communicating sporadically ever since. My heart swelled when I got that text message, right? It doesn't have to be a handwritten note, but those are really lovely things. Justin, I'm thinking about you and I want to know how you are. You're on my mind. I've thought about you today, or I have been thinking about you. We are now a culture that communicates in memes and LOL abbreviations. A handwritten letter or a more thoughtful text is actually an act of rebellion. It says, you are worth my full attention. I love this. And now I think I'm going to start doing. I think I'm going to start writing letters to people who I haven't seen or talked to in a long time. I think that's a really fun thing to potentially start on my summer break practice. We'll see how it goes. Okay, tool number 3, the neighbor practice. So this one says pick one neighbor, just one, and do something intentional for them over this summer, right? It doesn't have to be big. Bake them some cookies, waving and stopping to talk on the street as you're walking the dogs instead of just passing, checking in when you notice that there hasn't been somebody around the house for a while, sending a text and saying, hey, I'm running to the store. Do you need anything? Community is not built in rallies, although who doesn't love a good rally? I know I do. It is built in small, repeated acts of noticing one another. Research consistently shows that the single biggest predictor of community resilience, the ability of a neighborhood to survive hard times, is whether neighbors know each other by name. Learn one neighbor's name this summer. That is a radical act of love. We have become so privatized. We move into our houses, we close the garage doors, and live these entirely parallel lives with people that we have never spoken to. How many of you guys actually know your neighbors? Now, I am going to be fully transparent. I, again, live in a very idyllic place, and it is not like most of the world. I know my neighbors. I know the neighbors who live down the street. I know the neighbors over here. I know the neighbors. I know my neighbors. Not all of them, but most of them. I live in a community where we are constantly engaging with each other, especially in the summer because we have activities and we have local gathering spots. And so that's how we build our community here where I live. So it's easier if you live in a community, if you live in a place that engages and encourages community. But if you live in a place that does not do that, go out on a limb and introduce yourself to a neighbor and engage in a conversation. Stop feeling isolated around other people, even if you are socially awkward, right? The antidote is literally just to say hello and mean it and mean, like, who are you? It's so nice to meet you. You know, that kind of conversation. Okay, the next one is consume with intention. We all know that we cannot pour from an empty cup. And a cup filled with 24/7 outrage is not full, it's contaminated. So let's set a news window, 20 to 30 minutes, once or twice a day for consumption. Outside of that window, the news is off. This is not ignorance. This is sustainability. Balancing every piece of hard news with something that reminds you of human goodness. A podcast about kindness, a video of someone doing something extraordinary, a book about love or something upbeat that you want to read. Follow accounts that show you the helpers. Follow activists who lead with love, not just anger. Feed your algorithm beauty alongside that fight. Your nervous system is the instrument you need to keep playing. Protect it like the instrument that it is. I have been doing audits of my social media randomly over the last year or so, or probably 18 months, right? Because I didn't want to start and end my day angry with what I was seeing first thing in the morning and putting to bed before, like, and last thing at night before I went to bed, right? I didn't want to be overwhelmed with grief and sadness and anger as I was, closing my eyes to go to sleep. That's not healthy for anybody. I'm also not saying don't be informed. I'm saying pay attention and be informed in a way that you can sustain. Okay, tool number 5. Love out loud. Say the thing. When you appreciate someone, say it. Say it out loud. Say it specifically. Say it today. Our culture is starved for specific appreciation. Not you're great, but the way you showed up for me last Tuesday when I was falling apart meant everything. That kind of way. The way you show up for your kids is so inspiring. That kind of way. Tell your kids what you love about them. Not just I love you. Tell them why. I love the way you notice when someone is sad. I love how you laugh at your own jokes. I love watching you play the sports that you love so much. Specific love lands differently. Practice saying I love you first. Don't wait for it to feel right. Do it scared. In a world that is performatively tough and cynically disconnected, saying I love you and here's why is an act of courage. There is a concept in relationship research called the magic ratio. John Gottman found that in healthy relationships that there are 5 positive interactions for every negative one. 5 to 1. And most of us, especially when we're stressed, flip that ratio without even realizing it. We lead with criticism and correction and frustration because that's what's the loudest. Loving out loud is a recalibration. It's choosing to make the positive louder. Tool number 6, the micro kindness practice. Once a day, just once. Do one micro kindness for a stranger. Not a grand gesture, just one small thing. Let somebody merge in traffic and mean it. Be like, go ahead and go, sweetheart. Hold the door an extra second. Compliment the barista's earrings or the shoes that your coworker's wearing. Make eye contact and smile at that person who seems like they're having a hard day. This sounds trivial. It is not trivial. Each micro kindness is a tiny counter signal in a culture that is telling all of us that other people are threats. It also changes you. Research shows that acts of kindness increase the giver's own sense of well-being as much as the receiver. You are making yourself happier by loving strangers. One day. That's the practice, just one. Or once a day. Do it once a day. That's what I do. I read something that once said, be the love you wish to see in the world, which is a riff on the Gandhi saying that says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I love that. We can't wait for the culture to shift and then respond. We have to be the shift. One micro kindness, one dinner table, one handwritten letter at a time. That's how you culturally actually change from the inside out, not the outside in. Okay, this is the last one. Loving across difference. This is called the brave practice. And this one's the most challenging. Find one relationship in your life that crosses a real difference. Political, radical, religious, socioeconomic, and invest in it intentionally. Not to change them, not to be changed by them necessarily, just to know each other as human beings. Dehumanization is what makes cruelty possible. The antidote to dehumanization is proximity, actually knowing people whose lives are different from yours. This does not mean tolerating hatred, because are limits. But it does mean asking, I am in this relationship with anyone who doesn't, am I in this relationship with anybody who doesn't think and look and live exactly like me? And if not, why not? Loving across difference is the most threatening thing you can do to a system built on us versus them. It refuses the premise entirely. This is the one I think most of us, myself included, really need to work on. It's comfortable to love people who are already like us. That's easy, but that's not enough. The world doesn't need more comfortable love. The world needs brave love. Love that goes across the aisle, across the fence, across the worldview. Not naive love. Not love that ignores justice or injustice. Brave love that stays human even when it's hard. We all have friends who have different ideas and opinions and thoughts and beliefs from us. Being able to understand them is really important, and it's a gift, right? I have friends who don't have the same political beliefs that I do, but we have very similar moral compasses, if that makes sense. So, love based on humanity is very, very, very relevant and important, especially in a time where the people that are supposed to be helping us lead this country are discounting humanity completely. All right. That's my love rant for today. And because I cannot close this season without properly celebrating what we have built here, and when I say we, I mean you and me and all of us. This isn't my podcast, this is ours. A year ago, I sat down in front of this microphone and I genuinely did not know if anyone would listen. I had things to say. I have always had things to say, as you know. But I didn't know if those things would matter to anyone else outside my own head, especially in the last year. And then you guys showed up and you're listening right now. I love you so much. You have found the show and decided to stick around. Thank you. Really, thank you. I mean that from the deepest place that I have. So, what have we done this year? We've talked about menopause without whispering. We've talked about motherhood without pretending why it's not beautiful all the time. We have gotten honest about grief and rage and about the weird freedom that comes along with middle age, right? We talked about kids growing up. We've talked about our marriages and our friendships and mental health. I've sometimes said stuff that's in the group chat. I love you guys. And apparently that is exactly what a lot of us needed. I love getting comments from you and DMs from you and just thoughts from you. So keep sending them. But that's it for now. That's the whole reason why we're doing this, right? Why I'm doing this, right? To help everybody kind of feel less alone in a world that is trying to separate us, which is why I thought we should end this season on a high note with love. We're going to take a break until school goes back into session. So probably after the beginning of September-ish. I have a lot of stuff brewing in my brain, so stay tuned. While I'm gone, keep going, keep loving your people, keep loving all the people, keep showing up for things that matter. Keep yelling when you need to and whispering when that's called for too. And know that somewhere, this menopausal mom will always have your back, and I am cheering you on. So before I go, I want to leave you with this. The world is hard right now, and that is true. There's real cruelty, real injustice, and a real reason to be angry and afraid. But don't let anyone minimize that, including me. And love is still available to you in every moment. Love for your family, love for your friends, love for the stranger in the grocery store who looks like she's holding on by a thread. Love for yourself, even on the days when that seems to be the hardest thing. Hunter Biden said it plainly, the best way to protest is to love your family, your friends, and each other. And I believe that. Not because love is easy or passive or sufficient on its own, but because love is the ground from which everything else grows. You cannot fight for a world you don't believe in. And believing in a better world is an act of love. The opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference. Don't be indifferent. Don't let them exhaust you into not caring. Stay soft where it matters. Stay fierce where it matters. And let those two things coexist because they can and they must. Thank you for 1 full year. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Thank you for being brave enough to feel the things in a world that keeps telling us not to. I'll be back in September with the next season. Until then, love somebody today. Love them loud, specifically, and without waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is right now. I'm Krista. This is Why Am I Yelling? And go have the most beautiful summer with the people that you love. Mwah. I love you. Bye.